Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am Arun Verma from Team Cypher. As we all know that so far OTT has escaped on-screen smoking laws. Unlike the films and shows screened in the theaters and televisions, smoking scenes are shown without any health spots and scrolls. You may very well recall episode 2 of the Trial by Fire, a Netflix series on the 1997 Opahar cinema tragedy. Two women bond over a cigarette. In a minute-long scene, they take drags and fill the frame with the smoke. But they are not the only one puffing away on OTT platform without any health warning on the screen. We come across scenes of use of tobacco and smoking in almost all the series being projected on the OTT platform. Film shows in the traditional cinema halls are already covered by the law of the land. But with the OTT platform, there are no regulations. So it is an obvious gap area that needs to be plugged. There is ample research to show that excessive watching of substance abuse can lead to its consumption as well. Moreover, depicting tobacco consumption without any warning of its health hazards amounts to promotion of tobacco. Hence, there is a strong need on the Hence, there is a strong need on the part of
all are requested to please mute yourself, please.
please
You're not.
mute. Hence, there is a strong need on the part of the Ministry of Health, Government of India to expedite the framing of guidelines, rules that would mandate the platform to carry warning just like film screened in the cinema hall. With this background, Cypher, in collaboration with the Tamil Nadu People Forum for Tobacco Control and E-Resource Center on Tobacco Control under Department of Community Medicine and School of Public Health, PJMR, have organized today's national consultation on why the OTT platform needs to be regulated to prevent promotion of tobacco and nicotine. To discuss and debate on this burning issue, we have with us resource persons who are well known nationally as well as internationally. Dr. P.C. Gupta is the Director of Health Shiksha Institute of Public Health. Mr. Cyril Alexander is a State Convener for TNPFTC. Dr. L. Swasti Channi is an Additional Deputy Director General for Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Mr. Ranjit Singh, a renowned advocate to Supreme Court. Dr. Monica Singh is Vice President Research and Health Promotion, PHFI. Dr. Rana J. Singh is a Deputy Regional Director, the Union. Dr. Amit Yadav, Senior Technical Advisor, the Union. And Ms. Vaishakhi Malik. She is an Associate Director, South Asia Policy and Communication Vital Strategy. I am sure the valuable input from the experts will be of great help to frame and finalize the recommendation of the today's consultation for submission to the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India for further necessary action in the matter. Now I invite Ms. Malvaika, who is the project coordinator at the Mary Annie Charity Trust and member the Tamil Nadu People Forum for Tobacco Control, to welcome the dignitaries and the participants. Over to Dr. Malvaika.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the brief introduction. I'm glad to take part in this consultation and deliver the welcome address. So to begin with, on behalf of CIFR and Tamil Nadu People's Forum for Tobacco Control and also E-Resource Center for Tobacco Control, I would like to welcome the following key speakers for the day. Firstly, I would like to welcome Dr. P.C. Gupta, Director, Healis Seksaria Institute of Public Health, Mumbai. I would also like to welcome Mr. Cyril Alexander, State Convener, Tamil Nadu People's Forum for Tobacco Control. Dr. Monica Arora, Vice President, Research and Health Promotion at the Public Health Foundation of India. Mr. Ranjit Singh, Advocate at the Supreme Court of India and also an expert in anti-tobacco laws. Dr. L. Swesticharan, the Additional Deputy Director General, Directorate of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. He's also in charge of the National Tobacco Control Program, National Oral Health Program, and Ayush Integration Project for Non-Communicable Diseases. I also welcome wholeheartedly Dr. Rana J. Singh, Deputy Regional Director, Southeast Asia, Non-Communicable Diseases and Tobacco Control, working at the International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Disease. Dr. Amit Yadav, who's the Senior Technical Officer, Senior Technical Advisor at the International Union Against Tuberculosis and Lung Disease, Southeast Asia Office. I would welcome Ms. Vaishakhi Malik, Associate Director, South Asia, Policy Advocacy and Communication at the Vital Strategies. Mr. Arun Verma, Director, Finance and Operations at the Strategic Institute of Public Health, Education and Research. Dr. Rakesh Gupta, sir, the President and Director of Public Health, Strategic Institute of Public Health, Education and Research. I'm glad to invite you all for the consultation, and I'm looking forward to have a fruitful discussion ahead. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Malvika, for the very warm welcome of the dignitaries and the participants. Next slide, please. Rajiv. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Now I invite Dr. Rakesh Gupta, who is President and Director of the Public Health Strategic Institute for Public Health Education and Research. He is also a visiting faculty, University Institute of Applied Health Sciences, Chandigarh University, and he is a certified tobacco cessation specialist to discuss and debate on us about the objective of consultation. Dr. Rakesh Gupta, he is a former Director of Health Services, Government of Punjab, and he is a Director of Chemical Examination Lab, Government of Punjab, Chandigarh.
Brief about production.
He's an alumni of the John Hopkins School of Public Health, Baltimore, 2012, and University, California. He has a lot of awards and achievements to his credit. Now I invite Dr. Rakesh Gupta. Over to Dr. Rakesh Gupta.
Thank you, Verma, sir. So already briefly, Mr. Verma has told about the objective of the consultation, but I'll just reiterate that the acronym OTT is over the top. The convenient little term explains the new delivery method of film and TV content over the internet that we want across many different devices without the need of traditional broadcast, cable or satellite pay TV providers. So COTPA versus OTT platform, if I tell you that there is an ongoing debate on why there is no warning against tobacco advertisement and glamorization of tobacco use in OTT. So 10 television programs with on-demand streaming options like Netflix, Hulu, Hotstar, Amazon, Prime, and others were examined for their depictions of tobacco use. Each series, tobacco use incidents and tobacco brand image were tallied, and conformity with Indian laws was noted. Many of the series featured close-ups of tobacco products and tobacco use, as well as tobacco branding. The 2012 rules notified under COTPA in accordance with the prohibition on tobacco advertisement did not contain anti-tobacco static warning messages, anti-tobacco health spots, or audio-visual warnings concerning the negative effects of the tobacco use. So India's public health experts, I've taken this from a news article by Dr. Monica. So India's public health experts, they were worried the unacceptable of tobacco use on OTT platforms will set the country back on its anti-tobacco efforts by 2 decades, and the drop in smoking numbers will pick up again. So unlike films and shows screened in theaters and on television, the shows and movies on streaming platforms don't carry any warnings and have become the new avenues for tobacco promotion in India. And the Union Health Ministry hands are tied. Its strong anti-tobacco law, cigarette and other tobacco product act does not yet apply to the content shown on OTT platforms. The ministries have deliberated on this subject for almost 2 years, but have not found any common ground. A 2011 study showed that India's adolescents ages 12 to 16, they are easily influenced by the actors smoking on screen. It is so powerful because people that don't realize that they are being advertised. So it is stronger than peer pressure and conventional advertisement. The serials movie on OTT platforms are also showing use of banned electronic cigarettes, so undermining the PICA 2019 Act also. So this national consultation on why OTT platforms need to be regulated to prevent promotion of tobacco or nicotine use will lead to drafting of recommendations for Government of India to rein in the OTT platforms. So over to Mr. Arun Verma.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing the objective of today's consultation, as well as sharing the violation of the COPTA and the PECA by the OTT platforms. Please, next slide. Now, our next source person and speaker is next. Please, next slide. And Dr. P.C. Gupta, who is a well-known personality nationally as well internationally, he will share with the participants and it's an overview of the issue. Dr. Prakash C. Gupta is a director of Alice Sheikh Sai Institute for Public Health and Navi Mumbai. Everybody knows him. Doctor of Science in Epidemiology, John Hopkins University, and alumnus of the Harvard School of Public Health at TechMay Fellow. President of the 40th World Conference on Tobacco or Health held in 2009, and also of the first 4 national conferences on tobacco or health, all in Mumbai. Sir received Luther Terry Award of the American Cancer Society in 2003 and World No Tobacco Day Award from DGWH in 1999. He has a top position in India in the public health and in the dentistry of the top 2% list of the scientists by the Stanford University. Dr. P.C. Gupta, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arun Verma, for this very generous introduction. And welcome and hello to all very good friends and colleagues in tobacco control. I won't speak names, but all of us are good friends and working together for quite a long time to advance tobacco control. Now, the topic of this consultation is extremely important, and I won't take much time, just make a few points about this particular problem of tobacco advertisement on OTT platforms. We don't have to discuss or talk about the issue or the problem of advertisements because it is a now national policy with all the due discussion and evidence evaluation that we cannot have any advertisement of any tobacco products in the country. Now, we have to remember that advertisements are those which are paid for by the tobacco industry. And we must remember, we must realize that all these smoking scenes or tobacco use scenes in television series or movies or documentaries or any audiovisual medium are paid for by the tobacco industry. Now, we don't have any direct documentation. We are not privy to everybody's financial transactions, but it is very logical. It is completely clear that people who invest in such movies are producers, big businessmen investing crores and crores of rupees, and they want return on investment. Obviously, they will not advertise, they will not let go any possible avenue for revenue generation. Now, if they are putting a smoking scene, they are advertising smoking and they must get money for it. How much they get, in what way they get, we don't know. But it's definitely, these are all paid advertisement. And why OTT platforms are of a particular concern? Because we all know that OTT platforms are really visited much more and used much more by young adults and adolescents in the country. Now, we also know that young adults and adolescents are a specific target group of the tobacco industry. They always want their advertisement to be targeted to this particular age group. And we have experienced for a long time, many decades, that is why the tobacco industry always focused on advertising and sponsoring in sports events, music events, fashion events, etc., where the major target is young adolescents. And they are doing the same in tobacco for OTT platforms. Now, we do have smoking scenes in movies, theater movies, with some kind of warnings. But I think that is not our objective. Our objective is not to have any smoking, any tobacco use scenes in any audio visual media. So this is just a concession that they can have a smoking scene or tobacco use scene if it is absolutely essential for the storyline. But we all know that these scenes are not at all now essential for a storyline, and they are put in for a different kind of objective. So I think our objective is not really to have scenes with warnings, but not to have scenes at all, and to make the regulations so difficult that are so stringent that producers, directors do not think of putting such scenes in the audiovisual media, even with warnings. So that should be our ultimate objective about regulating the OTT platforms. Now, how it is to be done and what is the feasibility, etc. I know the government is looking for it. Dr. Sasticharan is here. Many other experts are here, and they will talk more about that. So I think I return to Dr. Verma. I finish my talk here. Thank you all very much for your understanding and your listening and attention. Thank you very much. Back
Thank
to
you,
Dr.
Doctor. Thank you, Dr. P.C. Gupta, sir, for making a very, very vital points in a very short, address to the, participants, that there are inside vested interest of the producers in depicting such scenes. A very, very vital point, sir, and as well targeting the youth. And the ultimate objective is not the advertisement, that the ultimate objective is not to bring such scenes in any form on any things being depicted on the, in the OTT platforms or any else platforms. Thank you so much, Dr. P.C. Gupta. Sir, next slide, please. Yeah. Why OTT platform needs to be regulated to prevent promotion of tobacco nicotine use will be presented by our expert on this field, Mr. Cyril Alexander, who is a state convener at Tamil Nadu People's Forum for Tobacco Control. He is an executive director of Mary Annie Charity Trust. He completed his master's in social work from the Loyola College, Chennai. He is an alumni of Johns Hopkins School of Public Health, Baltimore. Founder and state convener of the Tamil Nadu People's Forum for Tobacco Control. He is founder of Tobacco Monitor, an Android application to report complaints against tobacco control violations. Mr. Cyril Alexander is an ardent advocate of tobacco control and been selflessly working towards achieving a tobacco-free generation. He has done several research in tobacco control, especially with respect to the socio-economic status of BD workers in Trichy district, and has conducted compliance study, opinion polls in various districts of Tamil Nadu. He has worked as the research director of the Smoke-Free Chennai project and conducted air quality monitoring at Chennai, Villupuram, and Coimbatore. He plays an active role in supporting total ban on tobacco products associated with the key tobacco control institution, and his strength in advocacy has helped him in bringing certain policy level changes at the relevant spheres. Thank you. So, Mr. Cyril Alexander, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. When we are talking about the OTT platform, over the top platforms flourishing during the outbreak of COVID-19. So before that, you can see before COVID and then after COVID, we can separate it like this. because the before COVID, we used to fight with the theater films, but after COVID, it's become a big issue now. And then the major shift in the mode of viewing from theaters to OTT. As per the report, there are 45 crore OTT subscribers in India at present, and then it will be expected to reach to 50 crore by end of 2023. So see how many people are going to the theaters and how many people are using the OTT. It's a big shift from the theater to OTT. Next slide. With the outbreak of COVID-19, digital media has found its space within the comfort zone of children. Before that, we won't give gadgets to our children, and then we used to say no, you no need to use phone and all these kind of things. When they start the online classes, and then there is no other option, and then the children using the gadgets, and then they are very much into the OTT platforms now. Inclusion of digital media within the new films rules under Section 5 CODPA has been a challenge, and then leaving the OTT platforms with choice to stream any tobacco usage content without any restrictions. So there is no guideline so far for OTT, whether they can display or not. There is no clarity on it. The age-based criteria, they have their own criteria saying that 7+ years, 10+ years, 13+ years, 16+ years, out to be the ineffective. This is very ineffective. The people, our people are not using the age criteria thing. And 76% of the Indian movies had tobacco use shown in them, and 52.2% of the children in India who had their first smoke were influenced by the tobacco used within the movies. Through the movies only, they are start using the tobacco products. Next, in 2020, the government issued a Gazette notification number 4040, bringing online films and audiovisual programs and online news and current affairs content. This is one regulatory. And then in 2021, Ministry of Electronic and Information Technology issued a information technology guidelines in 2021. However, on ground, there is no effective rule on authority in place pre-screen content on OTT platforms, even though they are saying some regulatory or something like that, but it's nothing to do with our CODPA or tobacco control activities in the movies. Next. Why are the violations in OTT platforms matter to concern? The content grievance cell of Netflix responded to complaint against tobacco control violation, saying that the title is created and produced by a third-party producer. They are producing the film. We have no involvement in the creation of the title. So they are escaping the OTT platforms. They are escaping from the films. And then the OTT often justify tobacco control violations, saying that to be viewed or not in a voluntary exercise, where each viewer can exercise their own individual discretion and choose a view to the title based upon the age rating. See nowadays, how it's possible, how in Indian context, how it's possible, the age criteria. When action is taken against the theater owner for screening the violation of movies, why not the OTT platforms are not comes under this one? How we can exclude them from the screening of the movies in the OTT platform. So like how we are taking action against the theater owners, the same thing has to be implemented in OTT platform also. See, for example, the movies in the recent movie that Vikram, they come up with all the pictorial health warning and other things in the theater release. When they are doing the theater release, yes, they have a health warnings. When they are releasing in the OTT, they remove the health warnings and then they are releasing it in the OTT platforms. You can see the first one is with it's from the theater, the first one. The second one is from the OTT platform. So how they can remove the health warning and then they can screen it in the OTT platform. So it's a challenge. And then when we are asking for a editorial justification, they are saying 143 places they used smoking scenes. The smoking scene is need for the movie. This is the justification given by the producers. So how they are allowing, how the censor board is allowing this justification? 143 places they can have a smoking scene in the movie, and then all the health spot has been removed from the movie for the OTT screening. See, I'm just listing some of the OTT platforms. Now it's more than 100 OTT platforms. Most of them, they don't have the grievance cell also. Only I think 6 or 7 OTT platforms, they have grievance cell, and then they have a appraisal, other next level of complaining also. So the OTT platform like Netflix, the Disney Hotstar, Amazon, AHA Media, and Z5, Sony Live, we are able to address this issue with them, and then we are able to get some response, not favor of our thing, but at least we are able to get some response. And then we are also the regulatory bodies like Press Council of India and the Digital Media Content Regulatory Council, and then Navi Digital Entertainment Private Limited and Digital Publisher Content Grievance Council, Film Producers Council, Indian Broadcasting Foundation, and Advertising Standard Council of India. So we are also approaching different people for their grievance, and we are able to get the thing. And then when we did this Pandigai movie, and then they say the movie involves a smoking scene of minor. Later, the movie was released in Netflix platform. Complaint was raised against Netflix, and then the grievance cell of Netflix India responded, stating the IT guidelines and non-involvement in the creation of the title. Grievance redressal board dismissed of the complaint, who stating the editorial justification for the scene and mentioning the fake prop used, which looks like a cigarette. See, the editorial justification, we know what kind of editorial justification the producers are giving. And then the prop used, which looks like a cigarette. It's not a prop actually, it's a regular cigarette. There is a evidence, we can see there is a picture here, and then she's a Topsy, she's a heroine. And then she gave an interview saying that this is the first time I'm smoking. It's very difficult to smoke in the movie. So we have the interview is available in this YouTube channel, YouTube link also. And then we approached the NCPCR involved in this issue, and then that case become one of the ways of releasing. It's also one reason that draft regulation guidelines and the child participation in the entertainment industry. But the NCPCR also, they are not able to do anything because they are also challenging the NCPCR Act, saying that we are not bound with the NCPCR Act and all, Human Rights Council or the JJ Act, any act. So they are above all the acts in India. The Telugu movie Shyam Singarai, it's also the another thing, and the movie includes several smoking scenes. The Netflix saying that CODPA rules are not applicable to the title streamed on the OTT platform. So they are giving a judgment, they are giving an order saying that we have nothing to do with CODPA. The Grievance Redressal Council dismissed the complaint, stating that the violation doesn't come under the preview of OCC. So this is also another thing. And then we approach, and then the next movie, that the Tamil movie Maha, where the movie shows scene where smoke from the cigarette blow into the face of a child. So here they are saying, AHA Media, they close to complaint. They are saying we are close to complaint, and then the producer has already given clarification on the issue. They are saying yes, we are following the rules. That means they have a health warnings, but at the same time they are not bothered about the JJ Act. So they have a health warning, so they are nothing to do with the JJ Act. So and then the Telugu movie Wild Dog, and then the movie shows several smoking scenes, and then the Grievance Redressal Board dismissed the complaint, stating that Netflix has given all appropriate tags and content description. So these kind of results only we are able to get it from the grievance cells, in their own grievance cells. And then the Hindi movie Babli Bouncer, the tobacco matter reporter and then grievance officer disposed of complaints, stating that new film rules under CODPA is not applicable to the OTT platforms. So they are not going to that. And then the movie called Rowdy Boys. So for OTT, they have a different publishing mechanisms also. So they are using all Instagram, all digital media, all social media for promoting the OTT films. And then one is like a Rowdy Boy, and then they are able to, they publish this poster in the Instagram, and then we send a complaint. After that they removed, and then they send apology letter saying that hereafter we are not going to do like this kind of activity. So we, after that we didn't scale up this complaint, and then we close this complaint here, because since they are, at least they are able to give some response to us. And then the other movie, Malayalam movie like Minnal Murali, they are saying this is ASCI, and then they are saying they want to able to look into the complaint. They want wherever we go, and then we approached all the platforms actually, and then all grievance cells, and then all the appraisal groups, affiliate authorities, and then we are not able to get the results. And then the OTT platform violating several sections of code. It's not only section 5 violation, and then they are able to show the cigarette pack without the pictorial warning. So it's not only a section 5 violation, it's a pictorial warning also. They are not following the pictorial warning. If we are allow them to do it like this, and then they won't accept any CODPA, they won't accept any tobacco control things in their movies. So they will exclude all the things. And then recently we are also did one complaint regarding the e-cigarette. In the movie, they are showing the e-cigarette. It's an advertisement. So far, we are not able to come that kind of e-cigarette violations. But in the movies now, they are using e-cigarette, and then they clearly mentioning their name also in the e-cigarette name and all these kind of things. These kind of promotions are also going on. And then we find why the grievance cell and everybody is against. They are not able to do anything, and then we see monitoring the OTT platforms, no effective bodies to address this issue. There is no effective body. And then the several complaints taken up by the grievance board has been rejected, stating that the violations do not come under the preview of CODPA 2003. The members belong to the grievance redressal board committee, consist of those from Amazon India, Netflix India, and other OTT platforms. So they are the one who become the member of the grievance cell, and then they are giving the order and judgment. So they are the violators. At the same time, they are the one who giving the judgment and order for this. So how we can expect some results from them. So some of the interventions rejected by the grievance redressal board has been taken up by the apex institutions, and was one key reason for formulating various policy documents. Because of we are keep on moving to the next level. Somewhere we are able to get some results. As a result of continuous efforts, there has been collaborative involvement of several departments like NCPCR and other departments addressing the violations happening in OTT platforms. So requirement of solid consent policy, which funds regulate the violation happening in OTT platform, is the need of the hour. The mechanism needs to be adopted to take forward the tobacco control violations happening in OTT platforms. And then the criteria of appointing members in the grievance redressal board need to be looked into. Guidelines running the same needs to be adopted. So otherwise, it's not possible to do the tobacco control activity. So the OTTs become a major issue now. It's a right time to come up with some policy, and we have to address this issue, because when we are talking about the theater, yes, the film rules theater, yes, but now the OTT is the biggest one, and then really we have to address this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Serif. Thank you so much for a very exhaustive and an informative presentation, as well as the efforts of the Tamil Nadu People Forum on Tobacco Control. We are extremely thankful to you. Next slide, please. In between this, after the start of this this consultation, we have some important personalities who have joined the consultation. I would request Dr. Rakesh Gupta to introduce the personalities before I go to the next resource.
Thank you, Arunji. I'll just like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Meeraji, Dr. Dilip Acharya, Dr. Shivam from Union, Dr. Rakesh Gupta from RCF, the Rajasthan Cancer Foundation, Dr. Garima, Dr. Ramprasad Bastare, and Dr. Surbe. And I'm also thankful to all those who have been able to join. We have almost 47 people with us. So thanks a lot. So you can continue, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. Now our next speaker is Dr. Monica Arora, who is the Vice President, Research and Health Promotions, PHFI. She'll be speaking on the studies related to the tobacco and e-cigarette contents in the movies on OTT. Professor Monica Arora is a public health scientist working in the area of preventing and managing non-communicable diseases through health promotion and health advocacy. She's Vice President, Research and Health Promotion at the Public Health Foundation of India. She is also the Executive Director of Hridaya, an NGO working and for adolescents patients and the community. She is the president-elect of the Non-Communicable Diseases Alliance 21-23. She is chairperson of the Southeast Asia NCD Alliance 2020-2023 and a founding GV member of the Healthy India Alliance. She has published extensively in the area of NCD prevention and control, especially tobacco control. Her research outcomes have successfully informed the national health programs in India. She serves on the National and International Expert Committee on NCD, prevention and control, tobacco control, ending childhood obesity, and has been a commissioner in Lancet Commission on Adolescent Health. Over to Dr. Monica Arora.
Thank you very much, sir, for that kind introduction. So we have had very interesting views shared and evidence from Cyril just presented. I would like to highlight some research evidence which we have been able to collate, and the relevance of having research evidence is many a times in the court of law, government as well as tobacco control experts are questioned as to where is the Indian evidence even to show that these exposures actually have an influence on uptake or has any influence on continuing tobacco use. So some of our earlier research, which has been undertaken with school students by Hriday, actually has shown that if there is a high exposure in imagery through films, then it is very likely that those who are highly exposed will have a higher odds ratio of wanting to use tobacco or become a tobacco user in future. Similarly, we have shown actually in a longitudinal study a causal association between tobacco use exposure through advertising and uptake among non-users. So there's a very clear evidence. And in 2019, when we actually had started continuing to code movies since 2007, we have been coding all the Bollywood movies, particularly the ones which are popular among adolescents and are high box office collections. So looking at that, we realized in 2019 that the exposure of tobacco use in Bollywood movies actually was dropping. And the traditional films and even the international films were abiding by the tobacco-free film and movie rules. However, we did realize that with the incoming of the OTT platforms, the exposure was shifting. It definitely reduced in the movies which were being released in the theaters, but it was shifting to OTT. And we very well know, as have earlier speakers pointed out, that we have so many platforms on OTT now available. But also it is important to see the numbers that OTT audience universe in India comprises of. So currently it is about 424 million people. And the rapid growth which is happening per year is also seen with the 20% growth that has been recorded. Another worrying finding is that earlier in Bollywood movies or in the web series or TV shows, it was smoking that was being glamorized. When we were coding the movies, we had very few scenes which were on use of smokeless tobacco. But OTT platform is bringing a trend where even smokeless tobacco use is now being glamorized. So which is again very worrying given that India has a major problem of smokeless tobacco use, and smoking is still for us a second priority, but smokeless tobacco use is also now being glamorized. Next slide, please. So when we started looking at coding, we did look at these salient features, but most of these were being violated by the OTT platforms. However, initially some control measures were seen which were not aligned to the 5 provisions which are under tobacco-free film and TV rules. But in terms of health spot, anti-tobacco health warnings, nothing was there, but some places they would blur, and brand names particularly were blurred. However, that trend is not visible anymore. So it's just that because there is no action, probably that fear of law is completely going away with the producers and the directors. Next slide. So realizing this rampant increase of tobacco use exposure in OTT platforms, we did initiate this study because we were seeing that the popularity was increasing among adolescents. So this study, which has been published in 2019, the objectives were to assess tobacco imagery in on-demand streaming series, which were popular among urban Indian adolescents and young adults. And we were also trying to see compliance of the content shown on these series with the rules which are important for us from the public health perspective. Also, the argument which has been given by the OTT platforms is that they need not comply by these rules, is that the theater movies are seen publicly. That is where they are supposed to show the warnings. But when they are seen on OTT platforms, this is individual viewing. But on the contrary, the public health argument would be that these are being viewed by youth, adolescents, who are at a vulnerable age, have impressionable mind. And even if it is targeted to an individual, then all the more reason we should have these warnings, because as I had said in a press statement that Dr. Rakesh Gupta read, these individual mindsets are being changed. So they are trying to renormalize tobacco use, which we were trying to actually denormalize. Next slide. So we conducted focus group discussions with 33 adolescents to identify which were the web series which are popular among adolescents. And this was, the age group was 15 to 24, and we identified 10 web series, and the study duration from 2016 to 2018. These series were picked up. Next slide. As you would see, we content coded about 188 episodes across these 10 series. This included both international as well as national series. And as these were identified by the respondents themselves, so we restricted ourselves to the. So as you see from the data, which is very important to note, that tobacco incidents per hour of the screen time varied from 0 to 106 per episode. So it is very important for us to note that within this 1 hour, they are seeing tobacco use 106 times, which is much higher than any coding we have done on Bollywood movies or Hollywood movies earlier. And the earlier movies that were releasing, even as international movies, were all complying with these rules. But if we see here, you see the web series which are listed, 13 Reasons Why to The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. The variation is such high in terms of the international exposure that we are seeing. But even our national series like Mirzapur, Sacred Games had are of this viewing. Next slide. Here we can see that brands and highlighting brands had completely was removed from the Indian cinema. But with the OTT platforms, we see so many brands which are being highlighted, from Camel to Marlboro and many others. Thankfully, we did not see any exposure of Indian brands, but I'm not sure if we do the coding now, we may find some Indian brands also being highlighted. Next slide. Next slide. Here we are trying to show 0. If you see across all, these are the various provisions of tobacco-free film and TV rules. All exposures were without any compliance. However, as I had mentioned, there were some particular provisions they took where they tried to blur the images, and a close-up of tobacco brand packages were shown. So these were some provisions which are not required by the law, but most of it was non-compliance that we can see very clearly. Next slide. So just to highlight that the tobacco use exposure definitely on OTT platforms is influencing not only young adults, but even school-going adolescents, because everybody has access to these series. And also none of the Indian or foreign series are complying with the tobacco-free film and TV rules when they are being shown on OTT platforms. And the need for certification under Section 5 of COTPA also is not being implemented very carefully. So this increased exposure definitely requires that we are able to extend the Section 5 tobacco-free film and TV rules to OTT platforms also, and not let it fall between the stools because it is a different ministry's mandate. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica, for presenting a very vital inputs based on the studies conducted, which are quite informative and will certainly help to develop the today's recommendations, which will definitely forward to the Government of India, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. Next slide, please. Yeah, our next speaker is well-known Advocate Supreme Court, Mr. Ranjit Singh. He is an expert on anti-tobacco laws as well. Mr. Ranjit Singh, an alumnus of the National Law School, Bengaluru, and Law Faculty, Delhi, is attorney at law in the Supreme Court of India. He has been providing support and guidance to the Ministry of Health, NICPR, NIHFW, STCCs, and non-government organizations on the tobacco control and other public health laws for more than a decade. Mr. Singh has contributed in drafting and defending tobacco control and laws banning electronic cigarettes for Government of India. He has published several studies, journals, articles on tobacco control and food safety laws. He will be speaking on the film and TV rules and how these can be applied to OTT and PACA 2090 rules as applicable to OTT. Over to Mr. Ranjit Singh.
Thank you, Dr. Verma. Can you switch on the screen sharing?
Rajiv, please.
Yes, sir, we have given you the access. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you see the screen?
Yes, sir.
We can see.
So thank you. I think so a lot of detail, presentation has happened, and experience have been shared from Cyril to Dr. Monica, and they have published studies on this. And Cyril has been also reaching out to the judiciary for banning OTT, tobacco imagery on OTT platform. But coming on to the first question itself is to why are we actually bothered about showing tobacco use on films? I mean, there are a lot of other things being shown. I mean, is it a concern? And how did this law came about? So getting into that, before that, I would just explain to you in a layman thing that presently we are controlling tobacco imagery in theater, in cable TV, and the OTT is a new medium which is basically covered through the internet. So this is a completely new medium, and therefore the laws have to be looked into that perspective. So as far as theater is concerned, dish cable is concerned, we have existing laws which is regulating tobacco depiction on that. Internet and streaming platform is something which has escaped this regulation, and that's what the discussion is for. So coming back to my question, that was it a matter of concern? How did this law came about? And the answer is in the survey and studies that happened before COTPA 2003 came. So the WHO looked into the movies which were released before COTPA, and then movies which are released after COTPA, and they saw a huge, increase in scene of lead actor smoking, tobacco product placement, and even the number of scenes increased a lot. So these were very startling, facts that came out through these two studies done before COTPA and after COTPA, and which was also which was also kind of supported by this movie that says that let's use film as a medium to promote. So once COTPA came out and there was a ban on direct advertisement and indirect advertisement, the new medium which was picked up was films shown in theater and cable TV to promote tobacco use, and these were the facts came out. Under that, then looking at Section 5 of COTPA and the preamble, which was to eliminate all forms of direct and indirect advertisement and promotion, and Section 5 of COTPA. So Section 5 of COTPA is normally read as ban on all forms of direct and indirect advertisement, but that section also has a clause, subclause 3, which says no person shall under a contract or otherwise promote the use of cigarettes or any other tobacco products. So there is a general clause which says you will not promote tobacco use. And that's how this film rules came about in 2005 initially. I'm not going to, go into the entire history, but there was a lot of litigation happened for 8 years till we had this law after the Supreme Court intervention. So the existing law on film rules is, which is enacted under Section 5 of COTPA, is that every movie which is showing tobacco use will have to give editorial justification, something which Cyril was also talking about. Then they have to show an anti-tobacco health spot of minimum 30 seconds in the beginning of the film and in the middle of the film and the television program, an anti-tobacco disclaimer of 20 seconds in the beginning and in the middle of the film and TV program. And whenever the scene is being displayed, you have to show an anti-tobacco health warning or a static message, which is smoking causes cancer if it's smoking, and if it's chewing tobacco, tobacco causes cancer. So for smokeless tobacco. So these were messages, health spot, disclaimer, that came about after a good scientific studies, after fighting in the courts. This law came out from 2nd October 2012, and that's when several studies, I think one of the studies run in detail is by Vital Strategies, where they have come out giving positive impact of the film rules. So this is the disclaimer, which is, so there is a violation also, which is not happening in theaters, and also OTT is something I'll come different, but this is the actual disclaimer that they have to show before each movie and also during the interval. And this is the health spot. Health spot is currently, you see the Akshay Kumar health spot, but there have health spots keep on changing. And the static message is something which is using. So these three are important for any films that is shown. I mean, it's mandatory under law for any films that's showing tobacco use. And this has come out in currently it's being shown in theater and on cable TV. Then there is a ban under this law. What is banned is you cannot show tobacco product placement. So like Dr. Monica was also speaking that, OTT, you are seeing some product placement happening. So during the time and after COTPA, this is a scene from a movie called Swadesh. You could all see when there was a ban on advertisement that the lead actor would often go and pick up a cigarette packet and you could easily read the name. So that is product placement, which is banned under the existing film rules. Then there is a ban on promos and posters. So this kind of smoking scene, I think Cyril has also filed a case against one of the lead actors, Dhanush, and his erstwhile wife on showing tobacco depiction on posters, and he's got a favorable judgment also on that respect. But coming on to that, this existing law completely bans tobacco product placement as well as tobacco depiction on promo and poster films, as well as close-up of tobacco product and packages. Now, so we have a very robust law for films and television shown in theater and cable TV. During the time when, especially when the COVID, this entire spurt of viewership increased on a new form of platform, which is normally through internet, which can be accessed through mobile, iPad, and as well as laptop, as well as TV. Everywhere you can just access those streaming sites. You can download their app and you can start watching it. So this was a major thing which kind of had a huge increase in viewership during the time of COVID. And now we're saying that most of them are watching. So when the WHO study came out, one of the, which was in support with her there, the study was taken to the Ministry of Health and to other ministries to, have some sort of guidelines and also have similar guidelines or law that you have for film shown in theater and television, cable TV. So in 2021, the Ministry of Information Broadcasting, they came out with certain guidelines. And the guidelines which exist right now for tobacco depiction in film is saying that if you are showing smoking scene and if it intends to promote or glamorize tobacco use, then you can give it or misuse, portray misuse of smoking tobacco. Something like you will say, oh, smoking is very good and something like that way. Then you could go for higher classification. So the catch here is that it's self-regulation. The responsibility is on the director, producer, whoever has made the movie, and on this. And there is no restriction on showing such scenes, or there's no regulation on depicting a anti-tobacco message. All you have to do is show a higher classification if you feel that it's a misuse of smoking. And like Cyril was pointed out, they said that no, it's not a misuse. We have around 148 scenes and it's like, it's necessary for the movie. So this whole is a kind of a hogwash kind of a thing which came out in 2020 by Ministry of Information Broadcasting, and does no justice to the strong law that we have for films and TV shown in theater and cable TV. So at the same time, I think Cyril has gone into detail about DPCGC, where he has filed complaint and he's got adverse orders. And they have said very clearly that, look, your film rules which you apply for theaters and on cable TV does not apply to OTT platform, because OTT platform, firstly, is not mentioned in your film rules. And secondly, it's a new mode of this thing. Viewership of entertainment, and the current regulation that is controlling OTT is your code of ethics or your the intermediary guidelines which Ministry of INB came out in 2021. So they are very clear on this, that this does not apply. In fact, even the requirement, because these movies are not most of the movies are not CBFC certified. So they don't have to go movie shown on OTT, comes directly at times. So they don't have to be CBFC certified. But even if there is same movie which we were showing the example of Vikram, same movie which is being shown in theater as well as in OTT, they may not, the judgment also said that they don't have to comply with your film rules, because film rules do not cover this new streaming media. That's their straightaway judgment. So what do we do, and what happens in under this gap and this kind of opinion of the this council? Before coming to that, I think I'll just say that what we have witnessed right now is there is depiction of tobacco use on OTT, on posters, trailers, teasers. There's a lot of scene by depiction of teens. There's depiction in you were showing one scene of smoking, whether this thing, there are several scenes where you have children smoking in school uniforms. Then you have sponsorship by tobacco companies. And this is all on OTT. Okay, there is specific scenes in several series and films which is making fun of your tobacco control laws. then there is some sort of inconsistent compliance also. So you have an anti-tobacco disclaimer coming up. You have a CVFC certification, wide movie showing, anti-tobacco health spot. Then you have static message. So there are two things coming out of this. Firstly, the depiction is gross and largely, largely focusing on children. And the second part is largely focusing on children. And the second part is that if they want, they can show. There's no, there's no lack of, like they normally take, it's not practical. They can show, they show. So in both ways, the film rules can be implemented on OTT platform. So these are one of some examples I'll just show to you of how they are depicting tobacco. So this is the poster of one of the films where on chewing tobacco, and where they equate tobacco with a love with tobacco, and saying that both are injurious to health. Then there's this movie called Runaway 34, where you have wherever this the lead actor takes up the cigarette, and right in front of the no smoking board, he puts the cigarette, and then some law officers comes, he says, I have not burned it, maine jalaya to nahi. And then this whole song plays of rap song called Jalaya to nahi. So this is another example. Then you have posters where you see smoking, a lot of them happen. You have sponsorship, Vimal, of some series. There are also others who have. So all this is happening on OTT, and this is very alarming, which I wanted to show to you, was that you have children often in school form or otherwise showing tobacco use. So that's also happening. So tobacco depiction by teens, tobacco depiction in school uniform, and tobacco depiction making fun of the tobacco control laws. So these are three kind of this thing which OTT being used currently. Then there's another set of example which I wanted to show, that if they want, they can. So these are examples when on OTT, when this movie is showing, they're showing health spot, they're showing static message, and they're showing disclaimer. The disclaimer is general, but they're showing it. So all three, which is compulsory, mandatory for theaters and cable TV, can also be shown and have been shown on OTT. So what is our way forward for us? The way of existing rules, and somewhere insert this definition of online curated contents or OTT in a kind of simpler form, and then have the same guidelines that we have for the for theaters, movie shown in theaters and cable TV, like anti-tobacco health spot, static message and display. So this is something we can kind of appeal to the government to do it, and that's one thing. The other thing is that I will request this gathering that please highlight this kind of gross violation or gross depiction that is happening. I won't call violation, but the kind of depiction that is happening on OTT to the health ministry and other ministry, concerned ministry, INB, to the PMO. Whenever you come across such a thing, just with a covering mail, just send it to them, expressing your concern. That itself will put a pressure to come out with some regulation in future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ranjit sir, for a very enlightening presentation and sharing the information, applicable laws enforced for depiction of smoking scenes in films and TVs, as well as their violation. And now I'll request everyone to please switch on their videos so that we can take a photograph of the participants. Please switch on videos. Rajiv, can we stop sharing this screen? Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. हो गया फोटो? डॉक्टर साहब कौन ले रहा है ये?
Done, sir.
Dr.
Done.
Rakesh? Okay. Thank you so much. Can you share the screen again? Yeah. PPT.
Lavika, can you share the screen, please?
Yeah, one second.
Okay.
The next one,
Yeah, I
please.
hope it's visible. Is it visible?
It's,
Yeah.
the
Next one. Next one.
Doctor. Yeah, thank you so much. Our next resource person and speaker is Dr. L. Swatichan, who is an additional DDG, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India. Dr. Swatichan is currently the additional, yeah, it's done in the Director of Ministry. He has a MD in the community. Dr. Swatichan is an MD in the Community Medicine Health Administration from Delhi University and an MPH from Massey University, New Zealand. He is also a WHO Fellow in the Health Impact Assessment in Liverpool University, United Kingdom. He was also trained in the leadership program in global tobacco control in Johnson Hopkins Schools of Public Health, Baltimore, USA, and in Public Health Leadership Program in Emory University, USA. His area of work inter alia many public health issues and integration of health programs for synergistic and better implementation of the programs and translating scientific evidences to policy to implementation. Over to Dr. Swatichan. He will be giving us what is the position of the Government of India on this issue.
Good afternoon, friends. And first of all, I would like to congratulate Cypher and our colleague from Tobacco Monitor, my friend Cyril, and all the stalwarts who are present here for tobacco control in the country for inviting me into this webinar. Usually when I get any invite from Dr. Rakesh Gupta, I always try to, try to join the workshop and do whatever I can for that particular workshop. Sometimes, often without looking at the topic on which I have to speak. And suddenly I realized that today's topic is really a challenging thing for me, Dr. Rakesh. When we do not have any stand as of now, I am supposed to speak on what is the Government of India's state, and it is not just the Ministry of Health state, but it is the Government of India state. Friends, this discussion today reminds me of the days when we were trying to do the first consultation for the electronic nicotine delivery system, or the e-cigarette that we had way back in 2014, when Dr. Rana and some of us, Dr. Rakesh was also there, some of us we started thinking that e-cigarette is going to be a big problem for the country, and we should be starting to think seriously for this country. That's how we had the first national consultation. I understand that for OTT we have a similar problem. We have a huge burden which has been evidenced by many of the speakers who have spoken before me. We also had another national webinar facilitated through the Voluntary Health Association of India, and today we are having another one. And in the ministry, we are also seriously thinking hard, scratching our head where we should be acting on. I also heard my friend Ranjit saying that whenever you have any studies, or whenever you have any violations, whenever you have, write a mail to the ministry to put a pressure on the health ministry. The pressure is already there, Ranjit, so you don't increase that. We are all here to find a solution to this problem. So what I would expect from this workshop is, as I said in the beginning, since we do not have a ready solution to this problem, what we need to do together is we gather all the evidences, the research findings about the burden of tobacco depiction, the effect it has on the youths, despite all the challenges, despite all the regulations or the escape of the regulations being given by the players. We need to do that, and I know that Dr. Monica is here, and many other researchers are also here. So let us try to continue to collect these evidences that we have from this particular workshop, and several others which we had in the past, as well as we in future. And with that, we should also have another group led by Ranjit and other lawyers. Amit is also here, who would also look into the legal angle, which they have already started doing it, providing some lead to the ministry. These are the areas where we should be doing it exactly in the manner that we have done for electronic cigarettes. And as Ranjit said, if we continue to have the pressure on this, someday, like the way we had with Madam Priti Sudan, championing the cause of electronic cigarettes in the country and trying to come out with an ordinance when we do not have any act or any law which could handle the e-cigarette properly. She came up with the idea that we should have an ordinance, and that's how we should be able to find a solution to this. And let us have a legal angle into it, try to go deep into it, and also find and suggest ways to the ministry. The other thing which I would like to indicate is Vaisakhi is also here. Many of us were working in the campaign side. Sometimes I am told that even when we do not have a policy, or we do not have an act with which we can handle the OTT, the public pressure should not be just on the Ministry of Health, or should not be just on the mighty, but it should also be to those people who are getting involved. So they tell me that if you build advocacy so strong, then many of these youths in the country, they even write letters, they even write mails, they even post in the social media why actors like Ajay Devgan or Shah Rukh Khan or anyone who is involved in the tobacco imagery in the OTT, why are they doing it? That kind of positive policy direction building is also required. So we need to have an ongoing campaigns, well designed, with experts like Vital Strategies and other organizations who are willing to help. So, and the other thing is, OTT is not just India's problem. It is a problem which we are trying to handle at the WHO, FCTC level. We do not have any ready answer for that globally also, but there could be some global good practices which has happened elsewhere. During the time of e-cigarette, we were counting the number of countries which has regulated by extreme prohibition, which is also known as ban in some countries, and we could say to our policymakers that these are the countries which have taken up actions on electronic cigarettes. And similarly, we should be able to find for the OTT platforms. So we continue to find solutions elsewhere. We continue to find solutions at home, and we will need to work once again as a group. And I'm happy that we have got the public health group here, the legal group here, the advocacy group here. Let us group together in different ways and try to come back once again in the manner that done for electronic cigarettes and find a solution together. I do not have a ready solution at my hand, but I'm hopeful that in the near future we should be able to find some solution to this menace, which is now gripping the entire world, including India. With this note, I would like to thank each one of you again for inviting me into this very important workshop.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing government's point of view on this vital issue and the efforts on way to check the exploitation. Next slide, please. Yeah. No. I think Dr. Anna, yeah. Thank you so much. Our next expert on the issue is Dr. Rana Singh. Dr. Rana Singh has an over 30 years of experience in the public. Hello.
It's fine. I think.
Okay.
Thank you very much. In the interest of time, I think.
Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Verma.
Yeah.
First of all, again, thanks to Dr. Rakesh Gupta and Mr. Cyril from MECT, Cypher and Source Center for Tobacco Control for organizing this very important and much needed consultation on how to improve compliance of OTT platform to our tobacco control policies, which are covered under Section 5 of COTPA and film and television rules. So really, I think these are there are other issue of surrogate advertisements, and then this OTT platform promotion of tobacco products. So I think these continue to be a major challenge to all the good work which has happened in last maybe more than about 2 decades of tobacco control. I have nothing much to say now at this stage when experts like Dr. Monica Arora, Mr. Ranjit, and Cyril, they have already shared a detailed snapshot of violations at OTT and how all these platforms are responding to all the complaints which are coming to them, all the incidences of violation which are reported to them. So there is every effort to promote tobacco use in the name of, you can say, artistic freedom. And to me, it's a clear violation of COTPA. Although I am not right now can say that whether our current COTPA applies to them or not. Whatever the various decisions have come from various bodies, but I think COTPA was quite comprehensive, and its rules, they provide a blanket prohibition of on the display of any advertisement of cigarettes and other tobacco products. The law, it also prohibits persons having control over a medium to advertise tobacco through any of such mediums. And these provisions, they do ban advertising of tobacco products on electronic media. In addition to that, OTT, we also are aware that there is always a challenge of cross-border advertisements, which has been a challenge in the past also, and currently still I think that is there. Dr. Monica Arora has already shared a study by PHFI, Government of India and WHO, which was done in 2019. So that also I think very important findings are there, which also highlighted that tobacco incidences per episode in foreign productions, they were much higher than Indian productions. So this was very important study which gave us important findings related to all those platforms. So here the question is really, I think now we have experts like Mr. Ranjit and Dr. Amit Yadav. So they will really, and Cyril, working on all those subjects. So whether there is clearly what we call lack of law to regulate anti-tobacco content shown on OTT platform, whether really there is a serious lacuna considering the wide reach amongst all the sections and age groups of the society. So I think all these are important issues. As far as union is concerned, you see, we don't have any specific position on OTT platform, but you see, we are guided by FCTC. FCTC is already there. FCTC Article 13 and FCTC Article 13 guidelines. If you see the definition which has been given for tobacco advertisement and promotion, their definition is so comprehensive. It covers almost every type of tobacco advertisement and promotion in any medium, whether it is international television, whether it is radio, other broadcast media, internet, then satellite media, then cable TV. It already covers that all prohibitions, that advertisement and promotion should be prohibited on all media. So you see, but it is the legal angles which present a case, and so this remains a challenge for all of us. Now we definitely support at this time when Health Ministry is consulting Information and Broadcasting Ministry, we appreciate this instance that is already which is happening, and they are also consulting other key stakeholders on issuing a notification to OTT platform, which has already been named, and to carry out anti-tobacco warning messages like we have in other movies is screened in theater and TV program. So I think this is a good progress. Let's hope that we have something important in this regard. And Dr. Swasti and Mr. Ranjit, they have already now, I think Ranjit made it clear that there is a need to amend legislation to include online curated content for COTPA. And for that, he also highlighted very important that we need to ensure that all violations on OTT, they are reported to appropriate authority and to the highest level, even if it is Prime Minister office or any stakeholders which can help and highlight the issue. So I think this is very important to take on this challenge. And once again, I thank Cypher, MECT, and the Source Center for organizing this much needed you can say workshop, and at the same time to support the case, all those studies which have been done by PHFI, by Ministry of Health, and other short small surveys done by other agencies. So they are very important to feed into and provide evidences. So thank you once again. Vermaji, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Rana. Thank you, Dr. Rana, for sharing the viewpoint of the union as guided by the FCTC. We are really grateful to you for sparing your time and joining this consultation. Now we move on to our next speaker, who will be giving us about the global experiences, Dr. Amit Yadav. Dr. Amit Yadav is currently working as a senior technical advisor, tobacco control at the International Union Against Tobacco Control and Lung Diseases. Dr. Yadav, he has done his PhD in law from the National School of India, University, Bengaluru. He was selected as an emerging leader on tobacco control by the World Heart Federation in 2016 and did the dissemination and implementation training courses from the US National Cancer Institute and American University of Beirut in Lebanon in 2017. In the past, he worked with the reputed organizations like...
I think we can go ahead. I think
all right. So over
we
to
are all colleagues and we know each other.
Okay, over to Dr. Amit Yadav.
Thank you, sir. Can I share my screen, sir?
Yeah, Rajiv.
Yes, sir, just a minute. Yes, sir, go ahead, sir.
Thanks, Rajiv. Can you see this screen? Rajiv?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Screen is visual.
And it's moving.
Yes.
Thank you. So I think most of the discussion has already happened, and we are already we know that it is something wrong is continuing, and there are regulatory gaps, and we need to evolve to mitigate this challenge. There are several issues, and I think when we look at as we become more evolved as society, we and with technological advancement, we are now I'm not sure what speed we are moving towards advancing in technology. With the Chat GPT and Bard and I think others also coming in, linked with technology. So we are not aware what the future of entertainment also looks like, because it will evolve and at much speed. Now we are looking at 5G. We are not using, I'm not sure if people on this call are using 5G already, but it's already available now. And there is an idea of 6G, which is already evolving. So we are going to have these technological challenges and how people are looking at different entertainment medias as well. I'm just anecdotally talking about the challenges we faced with the traditional media. So we already, I think, all of us know, but just to remind that how much we struggled with the traditional media itself to regulate tobacco imagery or tobacco display, or tobacco content in films and television. So in 2003, there was initial, I think, so it's with the COTPA itself and Section 5 and FCTC Article 13 and guidelines, all that development, also we started discussing that, how films and television should be regulated, because they were the major spaces of entertainment and where tobacco use was glamorized and displayed. In spite of having the Cinematograph Act saying that you cannot glamorize, but you continue to do that. Cable television also having the similar provision, but you continue to do that. Again, I'm parking a concept called commercial determinants of health. I think at a larger point, we should also go back and look at those issues, and those become very important because all of these are, commercial determinants of health is one of the areas where we need to work. Now, these reports, 2009, 11, 15, they also came. Then Health Minister Ambumani Ramados was a very staunch tobacco control, I know if I can say, activist, and it was great having him as that, and also our Dr. Harshvardhan. So those two health ministers have made tremendous improvements in tobacco control in India. These were challenges. So we started talking about regulating tobacco display in films and television in early 2000. And what we see is, we again, just if we look at one of the battlegrounds, so this is just at the ministerial level or at the highest level, in terms of regulatory level. So we see this kind of counter developments. And finally, in 2012, we have the final rules that we now follow. No, there are several other actors. The history is there in the paper. You can read that. I can share the link. And so this is how much time we took to regulate films, tobacco display in films and television. Coming to OTTs and in terms of live streaming or entertainment, so they are. I think this is just an evolving. Is still an evolving area. We are having new research, and we are having evidence that how they are influencing people and how they are being accessed by young people, and how they may be increasing tobacco use also. But I think all the laws that we look at globally, I was requested to talk about global experience. So if we look at laws globally, we find generally they had some idea of regulating again the films and televisions, but no experience as available which says that OTT platforms content will be regulated. European Union, the act that they have, Tobacco Product Directives Act, that regulates tobacco products advertising on films and televisions and other medias, but does not extend to OTT platforms. They are also currently working to regulate this. Australia, again, one of the most advanced countries in tobacco control, but they also do not have any guidelines on regulating content, tobacco imagery on OTT. Although they have done two, in terms of strategy documents, national strategy documents for 2012 to 18 and then 20 to 30, and they talk about classifying, having guidelines so that they, in TV, computer games, and other places, they have some kind of classification for portrayal of smoking. So so I think globally I do not find anything as of date which is there. I think again, in terms of film and television, Thailand did well, and then India is the only country which requires disclaimer and health spots, whereas Thailand just says you can blur the screen when there is tobacco. So that's the two, I think, examples in our region only, which talk about, I think meaningfully regulating content of tobacco, or trying to eliminate some of those things from the screen. I think the rest of the world mostly still follows age-based rating system for regulating smoking or tobacco content in the films. They have not moved beyond that yet. In the traditional media itself, and this is the for different age groups. So you see, I think till PG, parental guidance, I think which means the moment you move beyond 12 years, then the content 12, 13 years, then the content would have cigarettes and other thing. I think it's only under 7, 8, 9 that you find it is no general or universal rating. Find cigarettes, but rest of that is there. So one of the recommendations again from experts, which is on my last slide, is to classify any tobacco content as an adult content, tobacco imagery or display as an adult content, which the industry very seriously fought in our case in the film and television. So I'm not sure that ever the film fraternity or even the OTT media, they will ever agree to something like this. So the best thing that the industry, again, that's what commercial determinants of health. Best thing any kind of industry wants is voluntary regulation. So you can take any industry and this will be the story. And this is the same with the advertising media. So ASCII is one example, and now you have broadcasting councils, and those are other examples. There is a mobile media group, and they are another example. So they create their own associations, and they want to regulate themselves voluntarily, and self-regulation, and suggesting that this is freedom of choice and content creation and all those stuff are being told. But I think it doesn't work much. So Netflix also after much of uproar against them showing even tobacco imagery in cartoon series and other things. So they said, okay, anything that we classify as PG-13 or below, we will not have a smoking e-cigarette except reasons of historical or factual accuracy. But I'm not sure if this is being done also, because no one is there to monitor. There's no monitoring agency or enforcement agency which actually monitors these people and takes the content out or punishes them, punishes these violations. This is not happening even in the film, in the traditional media. Contemplating something like this for OTTs is like really beyond imagination, until and unless we have serious enforcement, in terms of enforcement mechanism which is available, and someone, a monitoring body or an enforcement body is actually regularly monitoring. I think a lot of the complaints that we have raised and the civil societies have raised or medias have identified, they are just complaints, and they continue to be getting into the gaps of regulatory framework and enforcement and regulatory gaps. So again, the age standard rating. One question, another question, or important question that we also need to ask ourselves, and also the regulators might be asking, and this is one of the industry question also that will come, is a subscription-based OTT platform responsible for minors' access to age-restricted content? So let's say even if we do, and let's say 14 years, 18 years, and it will not be there. So is that content, is that now the obligation of the OTT, are they absolved? And secondly, as Cyril was pointing out, that with COVID, more kids are having access to laptops and mobiles. So is this OTT's responsibility, or are they responsible for our children watching contents? So I think those questions will also come in terms of regulation, because let's say if they are classified, okay, we will do 13 years. So is your kid who is less than 13 watching the content? And if he is watching, who is responsible? So I think that is one of the important aspect of these OTT based content creators and its display globally. And another issue which always remains, that these contents are created in different part of the world and disseminated in different part of the world. Nowadays, in the times of this technological advancement, people just put their servers and VPN password codes, and they have access to this also. So I think so those questions will also arise. I think the serious regulation globally is the only place that I can find is in the COP8 decision in Geneva. Dr. Swasti was part of this, and we actually made the Indian contingent made a strong recommendation that the Article 13 guidelines should be revisited, and the existing guidelines should not be touched, while additional experiences and advancements and ways of regulating them should be looked at by this working group, and which should report to the COP9, which unfortunately due to COVID happened virtually and did not take up any technical matters or serious discussions on issues. I'm sure that, or I hope that this will again come at COP10, which is going to be held in Panama, and this will be discussed. So I think globally, India is at the best place to give some evidence or some kind of things, because some of the OTTs are voluntary or not voluntary, even complying with Indian COTPA film rules. So I think that will be a good lesson for the world to follow and work with that. So I think so that this is the mandate of that working group. So and you can see that the mandate says that taking account of technological advances over the past decades, such as the internet and mobile communications. So I think in 2018 also, this Netflix and Amazon Prime were not yet had usurped the whole entertainment gamut, which they have done post-COVID or during COVID and post-COVID. So I think you still do not have OTT mentioned here or any express things like that, but it was generally on entertainment, media, internet, and mobile. So I think these are important, and cross-border advertisement is also there. So I think OTT, when we talk about OTT, cross-border advertising is an important thing, and it needs to be discussed at that level, where content from India is displayed in Nepal and content from US is displayed in Assam, as Dr. Monica's study suggests that more US-based content having more tobacco use than Indian-based series or Indian-based content which are displayed. So I think those are some important issues. And in terms of recommendations, I think I'll go back to WHO's recommendations and Professor Stangland's UCS of a smoke-free media campaign. So they actually have seen, in terms of considerable recommendations that can be considered. Adult rating future media productions with tobacco imagery, I think they should be considered. But again, if we do that, will that actually be complied and the minors will be protected? So that would be another mechanism to look at. Then running strong anti-tobacco advertisements before films or with the smoking. So this is completely the Section 5 rules of the Indian COTPA provisions. Then requiring production executives to certify that no one associated with production with the smoking regardless rating. So basically no tobacco industry money or any other advertising agencies money on such advertisement or placement are there. So this is not being done. Some places, I think, still people ask for such things, but we also are not able to get this from our filmmakers, that can they certify that they have not received any money from tobacco industry or any advertising agency who is actually looking after tobacco business, and you are getting money to actually put tobacco and these contents. So ending display of tobacco brands, which is important, and then making media production ineligible for public subsidies. So I think even for filmmaking, a lot of subsidies are provided. I think every state government nowadays, you see that several movies are made tax-free, and several subsidies are also given them for shooting, and then the hospitality and other aspects, taxes, and all of those subsidies are given. I think those should not be given to films which have tobacco in them. And it could be on larger public health issues and not only tobacco. This could be for alcohol, tobacco, and any other such content which are harmful. So I think that's all from my side. Thank you so much for listening. If there are any questions, I'm happy to take them. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Amit, for sharing this global experience and practices on this important issue. Now we have the last speaker with us. Yeah, it is about the role of media and advocacy to bring OTT platform under tobacco disclaimer rules. Ms. Vaishakhi Malik, Associate Director, South Asia Policy Advocacy and Communication Vital Strategy. She has 20 years experience in
I think
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
sorry, but I think I'll be okay with the introduction.
Okay, everybody knows you. I think they knows about your CV as well.
Yes, we all know each other.
Continue. Thank you.
Thank you. So I am, I mean, the perils of speaking in the end. I mean, I think a lot of points have been covered, and excuse me if I repeat some of the points for my context setting, but I'll try to give some new information. But my topic is to talk about how, media is responsible and how we can use media to bring OTT platforms under the tobacco disclaimer. And besides the media advocacy, one point that I wanted to make here is that, as Amit and rest of the panelists also said, that it is a key regulation, and it is one of the best practices known globally for this film rule. And one of the advantages of this film rule is that we get a lot of free airtime and that's where I come from, working with the Ministry of Health, getting campaigns on air. That's a major advantage as well for this film rule to be followed. And if the film rule comes on OTT platforms, that gives us additional channels. And as we all know that the audience is much more there on OTT platforms now. So I think that's one important point. And from at Vital Strategies end, we have been working closely with Ministry of Health and WHO and actively supporting the film rule policy. As other speakers said, it came in when it came into being. So we develop and provide tested, impactful, campaign materials, TV spots for the inclusion into the films and TV programs mandated under the film rule. And we have been working with the ministry to make sure that the rules are adhered to and the ads are rotated on the films and they are inserted. We also conducted a film rule study in 2017 in collaboration with WHO, and many of you were also part of the consultation that was held with the film industry and the TV industry, CBFC, etc., in collaboration with Ministry of Health. So in 2017, when this report came in, we saw that there was overall higher implementation of the film rule in film theaters and movies than in television programs. But of course, there were several gaps in implementation of the rule in both film theaters and television programs. And especially there was incorrect and incomplete use of the presentation of the government approved warnings, such as the health spots and the audiovisual disclaimer. And these are the challenges that we would see on OTT as well. But despite the inconsistent implementation of the film rule, we also found in this study that the audience's reaction to anti-tobacco messages, their recall was high and they were favorable, and they indicated an increase in the concern about tobacco harms and increased intention to quit. And therefore, this will be important for the OTT platforms as well. As I said, we held a consultation with the concerned stakeholders. We brought in film producers guild, TV program, TV channels, civil society, Ministry of I&B, Central Board of Film Certification, etc., face to face with Ministry of Health. And as Dr. Swasti said, this was also a way to sensitize them on the issue and why this policy is important. And as media, it played a role. We got in journalists to cover this and ask questions, and we covered this on media and ran social media campaign also to support, to garner support on this policy implementation. Then, as a follow-up to this study in 2021, after COVID happened and there was a spike in the people were basically restricted to their homes and watching television. So therefore we conducted another evaluation of the film rules compliance on television channels only. And overall, we saw that the implementation has improved on TV. However, of course, there are gaps in implementation. And then we come to, this huge, giant OTT that we are now talking about. I think we all know why this OTT regulation is important. And the way we work with media and we have campaigns to garner public support. I think some of the key data that I want to reiterate here is that we have data on the internet and social media use rates in India, and some of the data that I can just say out here is that there are 692 million people who actively use internet in India, and approximately 1/3 of the total population is on social media. We also know from evidence that Indians spend an average of 2 hours and 36 minutes using social media each day. 77.8% of Meta's ad audience is between the age of 13 and 34. So there's a young age category that watches, social media, including OTT. And the top 3 most used platforms are WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook. And as Cyril said that, even the OTT platforms, they advertise and market, these programs on these pages. Now, in OTT platforms, as we know that, there is an anecdotally also, I think we all watch OTT, and, as Dr. Monica said, that there's a glamorization of tobacco products now on OTT, not only for smoking, but also smokeless tobacco and BDs as well. And we know that there's a significant, youth population that is watching. So now coming to role of media, because, youth is the anchor, and that's what media hears. And that's what the, government and maybe the policy makers also, care about. So we all know that media helps in changing the social environments. Therefore, if we use it strategically, we can garner public support for such policies. So it's not only the government, but we also need the public to support these policies. And so indirectly, the messages also reach to the people who implement, are supposed to implement these policies, and create that kind of a pressure. So at both stages, we need to, and this, working with media, this can be helpful at both stages for, bringing policy into place, as well as making sure that its implementation is done rightfully. Now, coming to the types of media that we, that is used in advocacy. So there are 3 kinds of media. One is paid media, then there is earned media and owned media. So paid media is the one where, where there are media opportunities that are purchased through known media channels. And, these could include, newspapers, magazines, advertisements, the social media paid boosting that we do, and out-of-home advertising, such as, hoardings, etc. So these all come under paid media. Then we have earned media, where the coverages are achieved through word of mouth, or because of reaching out to the media and making the issue important to them. And earned media could include newspapers, TV, radio coverages, social media posts, from journalists, opinion articles, editorials, etc. And then there is the third one, which is owned media, which is basically communication content designed, developed, and disseminated through internal communication channels, which could be organizational social media channels, newsletters, websites, blog, etc. Now, these are the kind of media that is available to us. And we know that, industry uses the same media, and they, put in a lot of, much more investment into these. And therefore, we need to have a targeted approach, and we, work in a way that we have a targeted approach and use these media in a strategic way. Now, at Vital Strategies, and every organization or whoever works in media advocacy, they have their own, evidence and scientific models that they work on. We work on a, model which is a communication pyramid for policy advocacy and communication. And it has basically various stages of communication for different target audience. But we basically, use the bottom 2 approaches of the pyramid. The first is agenda setting. So through the agenda setting, basically, we promote messages around health harms and burdens of tobacco consumption, because that's the key. That's something which should resonate with people, and that impacts people. And then we build the momentum on the policy needs, and primarily engaging with youth, because we're talking about OTT, and as much as youth is there's a section of youth which consumes programs on OTT channels. There is also a section of youth which cares about these issues, and making them influencers. I think that's one approach that we consistently engage in. We create demand, and these youth influencers or youth population can then create a demand for this change, and and influence the policymakers. So these are some of the approaches that can be used. The upper two stages of the pyramid are, of course, lobbying, and then policy change, and everybody uses this, and media plays a role in these two stages as well. Now, finally, coming to some of the advocacy efforts that are happening at our end, and in coordination with the civil society organizations. I think all of us are here, but we run few digital campaigns to make this issue relevant, to be covered on social media, to be heard by the right target audience, and also to be covered by media. So one of our products, which is which is Tobacco Enforcement and Reporting Movement. So this is a dashboard that tracks tobacco marketing instances. So we use this data. We are using the data from this and insights, and designing intensive communication campaigns across social and earned media. And the aim is to set public agenda in favor of stricter regulations on monitoring on online platforms, including OTT. So this is one piece of tool that is being used, and advocacy that is being done by us on social media and earned media for OTT regulation. And then we are also running digital and social media campaigns related to TAPs, primarily on online marketing, celebrity endorsement, and brand integration on OTT platforms. Along with this, we are using complementary approaches of getting op-eds done by key opinion leaders like doctors, oncosurgeons, who can support this issue, and we have media stories around it. And then counter marketing efforts needed on OTT, like we currently are going running a bait and switch campaign, which talks about the hidden forms of tobacco marketing, and which includes how the industry is targeting youth on online platforms. So these are some of the efforts that are going on. And just as a conclusion, I would say, I think we all know that media is a crucial component of a comprehensive media campaign. And it not only informs the policymakers and makes the issue relevant, but also brings in a lot of our targets, target audience and community together to push for this issue. And I think some of these efforts need to be continued, I think, at our ends. And I would say that I think we are not doing enough yet. We don't have many coverages on this issue. And I think that's one thing that we should be all aiming at. Yeah, I'll close there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vaishakhi, for sharing the role and its efforts with the targeted approach to check this meanness of this use of smoking on this OTT platforms. We are extremely grateful for joining. Now we think we are now moving on to the question answer session. I would like to invite Mr. Cyril Alexander and Dr. Rakesh Gupta to moderate this session of the openness question answer session, which will be followed by the finalization of the recommendations. Over to Dr. Rakesh and Mr. Cyril.
Yeah, thank you, Arunji. I think of the since we are behind schedule, I just take two comments from Dr. Meeraji and Dr. Rakesh Gupta from Rajasthan. Very brief 30-second comments. And all others who have any questions or comments to make, they can just send it to cypher2018@gmail.com. and we'll respond to the questions. So I'll request Dr. Meeraji to please give very brief comments. Thank you. Dr. Meeraji, are you with us? Or Dr. Rakesh Gupta can speak first. Dr. Rakesh Gupta, are you with us?
I think he is not here.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe someone from the participants.
Or Cyril, you can just wind up the session and just summarize the whole session.
Yeah, the thing is, if you have any question or if you have any suggestions, please share it with the email ID, and then we'll be consolidating all these things. Altogether, really, we have to come up with some guidelines for OTT. Otherwise, in upcoming years, we will be facing a lot of issues, because when we are working with children or when we are working with the environmental issues, and then definitely it's everything comes to the OTT violation now. So thank you for participating in this, and then maybe Rakesh Gupta sir.
So I'll request all the resource persons and all who have participated in the deliberations may just send us very brief recommendations to be included in the document. And I think we need to close the session, and I'll request Arunji to please ask Rajiv to propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh. Now I invite Mr. Rajiv, who is working with the Resource Center for Tobacco Control under the Department of Community Medicine and School of Public Health, PGMI, to propose a vote of thanks to the participants. Mr. Rajiv.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to propose a vote of thanks. I hope I'm audible to you, sir.
Yeah, you are audible.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So I, Rajiv Chaudhary, Project Coordinator at Department of Community Medicine, School of Public Health, PGI, Chandigarh, extend my heartiest vote of thanks to one and all present here during this national consultation on why OTT platform need to be regulated to prevent promotion for tobacco and nicotine use. So that is jointly organized by Tamil Nadu People Forum for Tobacco Control and Strategic Institute for Public Health and Research, CIPHER, and E-Resource Center for Tobacco Control, PGI, Chandigarh. So we express our heartfelt gratitude to Dr. L. Swasti Charan sir, Additional DDG, MOHFW, New Delhi, and Dr. P.C. Gupta sir, Director, Health Saskaria Institute of Public Health, Mumbai, for sharing their view on this emerging issue. And I extend my special thanks to our all the resource persons, starting from Mr. Cyril Alexander, Dr. Monica Arora ma'am, Mr. Ranjit Singh, and Dr. Rana J. Singh sir, and Dr. Amit Yadav, and Ms. Vishakhi Malik, who agreed to be a part of this important discussion on very short notice. And your deemed presence has facilitated the discussion to achieve its desired goal, objective, and the outcome. I also thanks to our mentors, Dr. Meera ma'am and Dr. Rakesh Gupta from Rajasthan, for their presence during this very important discussion. And special thanks to our participants for showing your keen interest in the event, without which none of us would come this far. And I also request all the participants, please make sure to follow the recommendations of this discussion. We will share it through email with all of you, maybe after some days. So thank you, everyone, and back to the host.
Thank you so much. Doctor, we can now wind up the session.
Yeah, I think we need to wind up the session, and thank you all.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining.